Hello everybody, this is going to be a guide on how to beat Crash Bandicoot Hitless Deathless, the N-Sane Trilogy version. We'll be going through each level where I'll point out things to watch out for in beating the game no hit, as well as if you want to see my full run no hit in the game, there will be a link in the description, as well as there'll be timestamps for each level and boss. So if it's just one particular one you want to see, feel free to zip between them. So we'll be going through, in terms of rulings, I find if you get hit or lose an Aku mask, that's a hit. If you fall and die to gravity or through a hole, that's a hit. So pretty standard with that. In terms of the invulnerability, I use it a little bit, first in this level, mainly just because it speeds up a little bit, but I use it to get rid of mobs as well as to speed up the levels. I don't use it for TNT, but that's just a personal rule. But yeah, for this first level, not too many issues, only small gaps, so just easily jump over them. I would start getting used to the difference between you can just do a small jump or you can do a big jump, but we'll be going more into those later on in later levels, as it can be quite important, or I find it quite important or more consistent with one or the other with certain levels. But the first level, not too many issues at all. It basically just run through. If you don't use the 3 mask invulnerability, then just spin the turtles, but that pretty simple start for the first level. Going into jungle rollers, we'll start getting a few more intricate things. So starting out, I don't get this one because I don't like using them to break the TNT, but that's just a personal rule. Feel free to ignore that if you choose. But yeah, for most of these gaps, I prefer to do a full jump, so that's with the spin in the air, just because on the uphills, especially uphill jumps, I feel you can just get the perspective that you might get it with a small jump, but it's really easy to misjudge. So jump, with these rolling wheels, we'll come across like more difficult levels later on, but if there's a chance that I'm not going to quite get it, I don't mind just waiting a quick sec. I'd rather just give it an extra couple of seconds, like here, just give it an extra second in order to make sure I'm definitely not going to get hit. Better just to wait that second than have to restart the entire run. So going forward here, wait a sec again. Obviously don't need to grab any other boxes. The only thing really interested in really are Aku masks. So extra lives, checkpoints, nothing really concerned. Don't even need checkpoints because, of course, especially with this bit in terms of the jumps, those two you definitely need a full jump and watch out for that little gap just after that. That's caught me a couple of times when I was first learning the run. But yeah, especially on those 2 uphill gaps just then, make sure to do like full jumps on those, because if you do a small one, it may seem like you can get it and you might be able to get it, but it's just much more consistent doing a full run. Just keep the jump button held longer. Next, number 3, the Great Gate. So these ones will introduce a couple of the more annoying things that come in this run. Last 2 levels have just been a little bit of jumps and stuff like that. Although this first bit sounds quite nice because we literally just run right to the end of this, so we don't have to worry about pretty much anything else. We just roll to the side. You can still get crushed by that, so be careful of that. The monkeys are a little bit annoying, but we'll have a better example of those in a second once we get to the top here. Ignore the motorcycles outside, it seems. So, turtles don't have to worry about. So the monkeys, can only hit them as they're rolling. After he does this little thing, he goes rolling again, and only when he does this can we actually hit him. So don't try and get him when he's doing his little sonic roll. Wait till he stops and then spin, and we'll come across some more annoying moments with him later. These, if you're not sure you've got timing on, just wait a sec. So might have gone then, but it would have been risky. These guys are really annoying. If you end up in front of him, you're going to get hit. If you are not directly above him when you jump, you'll get pushed back. And these guys, even though they don't damage you and cause an Aku mask to go, I still count these as a push. So best thing to do is just do a full jump and make sure to get directly above him. If it's just like slightly in front of him, he can still hit you. So recommendation, try and get a full jump, get right on top of him, and then when he's shielded in, you can spin and that'll get rid of him. So with these sliding things, they'll come up a few times, but you move much faster doing jumps up rather than just walking. It's much more slower. So if you want to rush to the top, make sure to be jumping instead of walking. Monkey, get rid of. Shield guy, jump directly above and then spin. In fairness, you don't have to spin him, but the amount of runs that he's cost me, I'd prefer to spin him really. We'll go more into the fire pits later. These can be quite annoying, but not so much for this level. This one, not sure, so we'll just give it a sec. Like I say, worth waiting a sec rather than This one, once one is gone, we do have the time to just speed through. And that's the same with either case if we stopped in front of the first one anyway. But yeah, that one's pretty simple. There's a more complex version of that level later on, which we'll get to. Going into the Boulders level, so this one, not a huge amount of advice I can give, as you really do have plenty of time to react. There is a couple of things though with the platforms and in terms of like the second half, but we'll get into that. For the biggest hint, biggest way, I'd say it's pretty easy level, but just make sure you're doing full jumps over these gaps, especially when you get to the platforms later. So just doing the full jumps and make sure there's no risk of just accidentally falling into a gap. And then in the second half, we'll have the Wumpa Fruit to get across to us. We could also do like small jumps on these, but it's personal preference really. Big jumps just means you'll always clear them and never get risk of getting stuck. But yeah, when we get to these platforms, I would much rather prefer just to do a full jump, just to make sure you're definitely going to land on them. I have had a couple of cases, not in this level, but in the one later on, and doing small jumps can cost you. But then the second half, just follow the Wumpa Fruit trail and you'll be pretty safe with that. But yeah, full jumps on the platform, and then we'll pretty much get to the end in a sec. Even though that platform drops, there's nothing to worry about as we're moving that fast and we have to avoid the boulder anyway. But no. Boulder's pretty simple one, just keep running, got plenty of time to react when stuff comes on the screen, and do full jumps in order to go onto the platforms to go between. Going into Upstream, we have a few extra things. Most of these levels are just obviously simple versions being right at the start of more complicated ones that we'll get to later. But for now, the lily pads, can't stand on them, they'll drop down, so we just need to make sure we're going quickly above them. These lily pads, I always like going at a like a 90-degree angle, so like straight, right, left, up, down. I don't really like using the analog stick to like move around on them. There'll be a better example of that later on though. But with those, it's quite easy to just miss them. Fish, you can spin as you saw there as they're jumping out of the air, or if you're not sure, or if they're like at a bad angle, then just wait for them to go get into the water and pick your timing better. Red piranha plants, they will bite you when you jump onto them. The purple ones, which will come across in a sec, they go in a set pattern. So yeah, these guys can spin if needed to, or you can just wait until they pass over, I guess. So yep, moving between. With a lot of this game, I do prefer using directional buttons. I feel in some cases I like using the analog, but a lot of this game, as it was like designed for like directional buttons, I do find it keeps things a lot more consistent. Same deal as before, jumping up the slidey path is a lot faster. Just pick time in there. So yeah, here I just like waiting for it until it's like directly left of me, as opposed to trying to jump at an angle. So like here, I'd rather do that than trying to guess where it's going to be, and try and use like the analog or directional buttons to get onto it, jump at an angle. It's just more consistent. Not difficult, but just more consistent. Going into Papu. Most of these bosses are pretty simple, so especially like Papu. So we're just going to be staying on the right hand side until he swings his club, and then just jump onto him, and we're just going to keep repeating that. So as soon as he swings, we just jump, hit, wait, and then jump, swing, hit. If you're a bit shy on the timing, you can wait for him to go a complete circle around, and then here we're completely safe. Can spend as much time as we want, but yeah, shouldn't really have any risk of that. Can't walk into him or else he'll like stagger you back, but just continue just doing the left to right jumps on him. Rolling stones. So this is where it's like more complicated versions of the version from earlier, but still pretty simple, just as long as we keep the things. This is also where I'll start collecting the Aqua masks. So yeah, with the rolling stones, just take your time. There's no rush. If you do get hit, it's just going to be a complete 5-minute reset in order to do it. That, in fairness, was a bit close. And throughout this level, I think we do end up collecting 3 masks, so the back half we do speed up a bit as well. There is a Aqua mask in Upstream, which I don't collect because it causes me to have a 3 mask for this, which, again, just personal rule, I don't like breaking TNT with invulnerability, but if you choose to use that, then you can grab one in Upstream and you'll have 3 masks in this period. So yeah. For this level as well, this is where I do like the small hops between, as opposed to small hop, I do find it a lot more consistent than doing the big jumps. As I feel with the big jumps, it's a lot more, you have to focus on your positioning a lot more, but small hops, a lot quicker, don't have to worry about it as much. Even when we got there. So also have to worry about that is that was a platform that drops back then, so I need to watch this, same as this one, so it has a bit more of a grey colour. And also, when you've got the Aku, this invulnerability state, the movement is a little bit different, and you do start the movement a lot quicker, and it's a lot more staggery or jumpy, so just be a bit careful of that when you're doing those jumps across the drops, as of course you will still die to gravity with the 3 masks. Going into Hog Wild, biggest thing to remember with this is this pattern. So right, left, right, left, right. That is the side you need to be in order to avoid the shieldman in this level, which you can see coming up, but if you remember that pattern, you'll never get hit by them. The rest of the obstacles you can pretty much see coming up so far in advance, you never really have to worry about them. And then I guess the only other thing, just to make sure, is you can do a small jump as we've been doing in other levels, but I would pretty much always say to do a full jump, so holding the jump button. It's just much safer and less risky. Same with these, the bouncing platforms, just hold jump on them to make sure you're getting the most distance possible. There's just there's no risk to do it, and there's a little risk to not doing it, so just always try to do a full jump and hold the jump button on those platforms. So going up, so yep, this one's right. Like I say, it's right, left, right, left, right. And with that, you'll get through all the shieldmen every time. I think there's only one issue, and that's that one. So for that pig there, I wait until I'm at the top of the hill in order to jump, as if you do that a little bit too early, like whilst you're still going on the uphill of that hill, you will go right into that pig. So wait until you're at the top and then do a full jump. Going into Native Fortress, which is a bit of a harder version of the Great Gate from earlier, which will have a couple of tricky versions of like the monkeys and the fire pits from earlier, which we'll go through now. So going up, not too bothered about the Aku in this case. I don't think we deal with the Akus for a little bit now, for a while. And as well as having done the Hog Ride, any Aku mask that you have up to then, also get rid of for some reason. This one, these fire pits do have a very high hitbox, so in any other case, I would never jump over these. It's just because we're on an elevated platform there that we can jump over that one. Spinny platforms spin as you're going underneath them. Don't need to, you could just do it from here, but it's a lot faster. Top here, you can just clear this gap, but only when you're doing a full jump. This one, just make sure you're spinning when you're getting this, because if you walk right into that plant, it's going to eat you. And then here, so again, you've got plenty of time in order to go up and spin the monkey, but just in case you're delayed or any reason for like that, as soon as he's done that little hand action, then just wait for him to go and spin and then get rid of. There is a shield guy at the end of here, so be careful. This is a real awkward one, and I've got pushed back quite a few times on here, so it's just making sure we jump straight up, full jump, and then on top of him. So straight up, on top, and then spin. Wait for this for a sec. And we're gone. But yeah, shield guys, really annoying. It'll take you a few goes to find like a good space on trying to get on top of him. It'll take a few ones before he keeps pushing you back. But one of my least favourites mobs of this run. With this go, it's a lot quicker to jump up. And then one last shield guy. I think he's the last one we have to deal with in this run, so thank God for that. Wait for this one. This one, you pretty much have plenty of time no matter what time you start this countdown. So this one, we start out like really early, so we had plenty of time to get under it. But even if we'd got bad timing on this, there's still, whenever you start the TNT and jump over to this side, you'll have plenty of time for that spike to go drop down and then go up again and then jump across to here. In the case that you think the time is going to be a bit tight, you can jump to the slidey platform to the left of that TNT and come back over, but you should never really have to worry about that too much. But it can be helpful to do that when you're just starting learning that a little bit. But you do have plenty of time when that TNT starts. Up to the top here. And this time we do have a little bit of a shortcut, so we don't have to bother with any of this. So we don't have to bother with that shield guy, spikes, fire pits, sod, all of this, and we appear up here. It can drop down on here, but I just prefer doing that. You can also do that if it is lit. This one, big thing with timing. Make sure you go at the right time or else you're going to get burnt when trying to bounce off that second one. So as soon as the fire goes, that's when you want to be jumping. This one, I do like waiting on this platform as I feel I've been burnt a couple of times on this, just in terms of the timing. So I prefer to wait on that platform for a sec. This second platform, hold the jump button. That second one, hold the jump button to make sure you can reach this piranha plant and spin it as you drop. If you just do a small jump, you can land around here, and I feel it can be just a little awkward trying to reach him from here, and you can get eaten pretty easily. So that second platform, hold the jump button and land directly where the piranha plant is in order to get rid of him. A little bit of timing. This one I'm a bit unsure of timing, so we'll just give it a sec. Get rid of him. Wait on here for a sec. And then we're pretty much near the end of the level. So there's 3 ones here, so we're going to be taking a little bit of a break on here. And then we'll drop down and we're off. And that's that. There's nothing else in danger up here. It's just going up to the top of the platform now. But yeah. Main thing with those ones down there is just taking your time. If the spikes are in a dodgy position or if the fire pits are at a dodgy pattern or think there's not going to be enough time, then just give it a sec. There's no rush. Just let that play out. Up the creek, a harder version of the Upstream, a bit like how Native Fortress was a harder version of the Great Gate. So going through, same deal, lilies and the red piranha plant. As soon as we land on, we need to get off immediately, or else we'll either sink or get snapped up. Next one, that fish never gets in the way. You can just jump from one lily pad to the other, so no problems there. Or from one leaf to the other, I should say. This one, I like waiting. You can jump and spin it, but I do find when you jump and spin, it does something to your momentum, which we'll come to in a bit of the machine levels later on. So in those cases, I prefer not to jump and spin. I prefer just to wait for the fish to pass by. Just, again, consistency. You can do it that way, but I don't know. I feel like jump spinning messes with the jump, especially with distancing, but we'll come on to that later. With the monkeys in this level, they will roll to the end and stop in the middle. So as opposed to in the last level where we stopped like where they stopped, they will stop around here. So when you jump on here, just wait for a sec and then spin them as they drop. This one, again, we'll wait a sec. On here, and then we wait until we're directly to the side. Again, this is like earlier. I prefer doing it at like 90-degree angles as opposed to trying to do it at an angle, at diagonal, I should say. Again, consistency. So wait for these guys, wait for here, and then jump up. At the very bottom here, I do like jumping like right from the start because I've just had a couple of cases where I just tried like walking or running at the bottom there and just getting sucked into the water. So start jumping immediately, I'd say, or just like doing like the hops. So no problem here, just jump straight across. Jump straight across, again, just keeping like trying to keep the diagonals out as much as possible. Wait for this guy to stop in the middle and then get rid. Have to keep an eye on the one in front there before we jump. But no issues really. And then all good here. This one we can wait for the fish to jump one more time. Again, the case where you can spin them. Personal preference really. I prefer to wait, but you can equally spin as you go. And then nothing more complex happens in this level, I don't think, or anything else much, because these fish we can just wait until they pass by. Don't need to spin. And I don't think anything else happens. Wait for this guy. And off we go. I think there is one last thing here. Say with this final bit, go at the first opportunity that you get. So as soon as you reach that platform, to get across this final section, that first chance you get at crossing that, so jumping onto the purple plant, jumping onto here, is the best chance you're going to get. Every other case, when I found when you've left it, it just has awkward timing with the fish and the plant and everything. Again, can be eliminated by spinning the fish. But yeah, the first time, you've got no issues. Just wait for the purple piranha plant to close up, jump across, and you'll be fine. First chance. Ripperoo. So, again, this is just going to be a little bit of a memory one, a bit like the Hog Wild from earlier, just positioning. So, starting out, we want to be on the left bit. So, if you imagine a phone, so we're going to be in position at number 4. And we're going to wait until he jumps away from his center. So, as he jumps away, we hit that. And then that'll give him the perfect time to get blown up there. What we're going to be doing next is we're going to be waiting until he does that. So there's a couple of little different timings actually that can happen there. So with the first first hit point, I should say, or first pattern. If he, after getting hit, stops in the middle, you can do what I've just done then. If he gets hit in the first section and he stops on one of the corners, so if you imagine a throwing number 9 and number 7, you actually would come to here, jump across to, let's give him a sec. You would jump across to here, and then you would jump on the box over there. I will probably be able to record a separate occasion of doing that, so hopefully that's overplaying now. And then, so that's the reason to do if he stops on number 9 or number 7 when he gets hit. So back to this. So final section, we're just going to be waiting until he jumps onto this one, number 2 to number 4, and then as he jumps to number 6, I should say, we'll hit that one, and then it'll blow up as he goes. Pretty simple. So if you just remember that those little combinations, you'll be fine. Going into the Lost City, particularly tricky one, this one, and a level in a couple of times called Sunset Vista, which is the harder version. These ones I recommend for any jump in between to be doing full jumps, just because I find these have the slippiest like landing areas to them that you can just we'll come across in a couple in a sec, the dropping platforms especially. So these ones, just always try to make sure you're landing directly on these, as I feel if you're at either edge, just, I don't know if it's the physics or what's going on, but it's so easy to just slip off the edge of them. Bats, you're going to have to wait. We don't have enough spin in order to get rid of them all, so just patience with these. Same with these, just don't need to rush it. You can do like a weird little like jump across, jump around thing, but just in terms of consistency, just wait until they're both out and then just run across. You'll have time. These, making sure you're doing full jumps between, just make sure you're landing directly on. Again, just a slippy landing. You'll find out when you start doing some runs about the slippy edges that Crash has in this game. Just so easy to go off and just lose to gravity or to drowning, it seems. With this guy, we can actually hit him from down here, so you can just drop down and spin if he's on this side, but if he's not, just wait until he comes over to this side and you can spin and you'll hit him from this position. Bats, we have to wait in each little drop down area, so we couldn't go there or else we'd get hit, so we just wait down here and then we're good. These lizards that do the jumps, we have to wait until they're in the air to jump. We can't spin them whilst they're on the ground or else we'll get knocked back, which I personally count as a hit, so I leave that. You can jump on the heads as well, but personally I find spinning them when they're jumping is more consistent. Because if you jump slightly too short or too long, like over them, you can just get a weird moment and then get hit. So I'd prefer just wait until they're in the air, then spin them, much more consistent. These platforms, not too bad. We'll come across trickier scenarios later on, but for now, just wait until they're at the bottom of the circle and then jump on top. And then these, not much advice I can give, apart from don't do that. It's mainly just timing thing, which if you have good timing, you'll be able to do that without issue. I seem to have lost it, so not so much. But yeah, bottom of those platforms, jump on, let it carry you around, so just get a timing of it. These ones move pretty slowly, so you just give it a sec and then jump across. We'll move across some more faster moving ones later on. Red ones, complete same deal, wait until he's in the air. With these platforms, I'm going to label these as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Never jump on 2 or 4. They have a habit of spinning completely around, and it's very disorientating and will most likely end in you dying to gravity. So only ever deal with 1, 3, and 5. So this one, and that one. That will pretty much make sure those are not a headache, but 2 and 4, I just feel are too inconsistent. You can try it just to see what I mean, but yeah, if you only deal with 1, 3, and 5, you'll have no issues. Be careful a little bit of that. If you get the timing wrong, it can be a little issue, but if you just go in, just start running, don't wait, you'll pretty much be fine every time you do that. I did the timing wrong on that, so that's why I had to save it a little bit. So don't do what I just did then, wait until they're both out and then run across. These 3, just wait until they're all out and then we can jump across, and then that also has good timing with these second ones, so we can just run straight across. As I say with these lizards, you can jump on top of the head. I just find it a lot more consistent just to spin them whilst they're in the air, so that's what I would recommend. This one, it does depend. So we can spin, and then we're at the end. So that's pretty much how 9 out of the 10 times it will happen as. Pretty consistent. There can be the one chance where you'll, the lizard that we had over there on the single platform, you can jump on top of his head sometimes even when you're trying to spin, which then just pauses you slightly, and then you can jump across and spin this guy. But normally you won't have enough time to get across here without the bats getting you. So if you do end up bouncing it on that single lizard's head, then do just give it a second. Going to the next platform, so 5, 3, 1, never deal with 2 and 4, and you do have to do it pretty speedily, or else you are just going to get dropped. So 5, 3, 1, we never look at 2 or 4. Lizard again, we can jump on his head, but just for consistency's sakes, we'll spin when he jumps on top of us. This one, and just like edging until he's there. Again, same deal. Wait for him to jump, get rid. Simples. Temple Ruins. So, another new place. This one, again, is a lot about the slippy platform edges. So, just making sure always landing in the center. Mainly doing 4 jumps, and mentioned earlier, like they can do the hops, but with these, always like doing 4 jumps, keeping an eye on the shadow to make sure it's landing on the platform. So, shadow comes on, that's fine. This one, I normally like waiting a sec, waiting for the platforms to drop down. Yeah, with these platforms, never try to jump as the one in front of you is raising up. You can save it sometimes, it's just never worth it. Just take your time, wait until the platform in front of you is dropping, and then jump over to it. Just don't jump over when they're rising up. These ones, we'll just jump across. We do have some issues with the bats later on. Which we'll come to. I think these only appear once though, so I think in this one we're fine. But there'll be one later on which I'll mention in just a second. Keep an eye on the archways as you're learning the level, just to know which ones spears come out and which don't. With these little fire basins, I have to move out of that. There might be a better example of fire basin later on. But in terms of it's so weird, these basins. Basically, you've got to jump right on the edge of the bowl lip, I guess. Because if you jump from the middle part, you're a bit lower down, and it's so easy to be short of platforms and jump. So make sure, like the edge you can see at the bottom of the screen, to be jumping from that in order to reach the next area. Just it's going to be a much more consistent, and then try and jump and do a full jump right from the middle. And sometimes you may not even be able to reach. I don't know why I get that, I never get that. But anyway, so with these bats, it's a bit of a weird one. So if I stand here, the bats will continuously appear, hopefully. Oh, there we go. But if I stand around here, then they don't appear. So you can... I personally, because you can be a bit risky, like trying to get to the edge and this to happen, I normally do like standing around here and letting the bats appear. And then jump in when I know it's safe, but you can prefer to stand here, so like as it does that, I actually can't jump now because the platform's rising and I would have died. But yeah, you can stand around here and the bats won't appear, and then just wait for your timing for the platform in front to raise down, as this is a platform, as that one is one that drops down, so you can't hang about on that. So make sure that this platform that I'm on at the moment is dropping down as you go over to get it. Next, so basin. Just wait, patience, don't try to rush it or else you get fried. And then as you saw, I pretty much like jumped as if I was off the platform, like a bit of coyote time. Coyote time I think it is actually. But yeah, jump in right from the edge of that lip to make sure we're reaching it. Spider drops down here, so hit that first. You'll know when spider's dropping down as a red mark will appear on the ground. So keep an eye out on that. But you'll learn all the spider positions as you do some more runs of it. This one we need to set off a little bit early. In order to make sure we get across it in time. These little platforms, I like doing a small jump, like the hop jump, just more consistent. We don't have to manage our place in space doing the full jumps. These ones, though, definitely do a full jump. Especially this last jump, make sure you do a full jump, and only when I almost got hit by the bats, and only when that platform I just jumped across is right at the top. I don't normally spin the bats, but I just did then because I got mistimed. So yep, just wait here, no shoes at all, what is happening? And here, Normally I would just run across there. I was just talking a little bit, but normally I would just run straight across. But what I normally do is wait here for the bats to go across my head, and then jump across. Just because you can rush it, and then if you jump straight away at the end, the bats can come down, get you a bad timing, and then kill you right at the very end. So when you're right at the end there, just wait a sec, let the bats go over your head, and then jump and finish the level. Road to Nowhere. So these infamous bridge levels, I guess. So this one's not too bad. So starting out, just jumping across the red platforms, they will drop as you land on them, so you can't stay too long. But you can stay on them longer than you may think. So don't feel you need to rush when you land on them, but also don't hang around. I do like jumping across here just because it's a little bit quicker, and then just jumping across starting section. And then with this level, I do like mixing in the hops and the full jumps. The full jumps when I'm like trying to clear a gap like this, and then when I'm just trying to jump across small gaps, just doing the small little hop. Also a small thing, just personal, when there is a life here or anything in the sky here, I normally collect it in this level because I feel it obstructs my view when I'm trying to jump across. So I would say if something's up here like a life, even though we don't need them, we're going to get rid of it. Also, these pigs, unkillable, we can't spin them, so we need to get good timing to jump over them. Also, with these ice, downward ice, I would recommend not running down them. Just go onto them, let gravity take hold, eventually, and then jumping off at the edge. I feel like if you're running down them, it's too easy to just run straight off the edge. I'd rather let gravity take it, go slowly down, and then jump. It's just a lot more consistent, a lot more controlled, rather than trying to run and then jump right at the end. It's too easy to miss time, or at least I personally find. So when you're on the ice, just slowly let gravity do its work, and then jump at the very end. With this one, I wait until he runs away, and then I'm going to jump onto this little wooden one in front, and then go across. It'll take a few goes to get used to it. It is very like getting the right timing on the full jumps and the little hops, but you'll get it in time with a little bit of practice. We can jump just across here. We just wait a sec, little hop, full jump, little hop. But yeah, we get the timing of these pretty quickly. But yeah, this is pretty alright, especially in compared to the high road, which we'll come to later. Also, be a little careful of, even though I do that normally now, it's another case of running and then jumping right from the very edge. If that jump, especially that I just did there, if you do it from the middle of the platform, I don't think that would have reached. You have to do like a running start in order to get the distance that I just did then. But yeah, keeping an eye on your shadow in this. I could get in a little bit in the way there, but you'll get the hang of it with a few goes. With this one, I like waiting here just a second for the pig to appear, and then get into this position, and then jumping over him. I like waiting there for that to happen, because if you just go straight away, he can be at an awkward position when you have to jump into him because of the ice. So in that section, just wait for him to appear, to run away from you, and then jump across from that fixed platform. Turtles aren't such a big thing in this level, but can be annoying later on, but we'll get to them later. In this level, they're nothing really to worry about, just make sure you land directly on them. But in terms of that, pretty alright, but will take a few times to get used to. You can jump on the ropes, but I'll talk more about that in the high road level later. Boulder Dash. So, aside from being a pun, it's pretty much the same level as Boulders. Nothing too complex really, no real differences. The only thing I would say, just to make sure of, is always doing the full jumps between these platforms. Just always going to be more consistent, especially with the elevation differences between the platforms. It's just going to be a lot more consistent than trying to guess and doing the small hops. So, other than that, it's pretty much the same level. You always have plenty of time to react. Whether they're moving, whether there's going to be the fences involved, whether the small little speed bumps. You've got plenty of time to react, to move side to side and not get held up, to get squished by the boulder. biggest difficulty in this level, I should say, is just the platforms. And by doing full jumps, you've got time to position yourself in the air on top of them, unlike the hops, which do give you a little bit less time, less space, because obviously you're not jumping as high. So that's the main thing I'd say is keep in mind. Other than that, just be calm, avoid those, and you won't get squished. Can't really say too much about this level though. But yeah, I have lost this level though. I will say, but only on those platforming sections, and that was only when I was trying to hop between them, which is a little bit faster in fairness, but much less consistent I found. So after I died a couple of times at this point, I always do the full jumps. But keep doing that, and you should never have an issue with this level. Sunset Vista, probably I found the most tricky to get consistent at. It's one of the longest levels, trickiest, and takes a lot of patience to get through it. Starting out, just have to be patient, wait for this to go off, and then we stick with the moving platforms on the 1, 3, 5 rule. So we're going through, got plenty of time to move across these, even with the 3 one. I like spinning right at the end here, as you can come across those last 2 bats in the way, so just make sure to spin just for a little bit of extra safety there. We do have to wait in each of these ones, we can't skip them. I think you might be able to get through there, but it's just not worth the risk, so just wait, jump across. This jump here, make sure you're doing a full jump. You can very easily end up being short of that and just drop it into the water. This guy as well, you can jump on his head, but as we mentioned earlier, just spin as he jumps. This one, oh, I can't even show it now. So normally that doesn't happen, that was just really good timing, but if that guy is still alive on top of there, you can just spin him when he appears on this left side. So I normally like waiting until he's there, spin him from here, and then when that's safe to then jump across and avoid the bats. I prefer doing that than trying to jump, spin, and rush past the bats at the same time. So yeah, all good there. So this one, just wait, don't need to rush this one, just wait until there's a platform at the bottom to jump across, and same here, when this platform's around the midpoint, then you can jump across as it's dropping down. With these, I normally like to wait until this second one is going in, jump across to here, and then jump across this one, and then over. This one, we're going to wait until this one, and then just keep running against the side of it. Same side, so I like running against these ones before they've even like dropped back in, just keep the momentum going. So you've already got the momentum going again, running against the side of it. These ones, never jump on top of them. Just spin as they jump towards you. Just, yeah, consistent. And then you do have time to jump across here, even though it looks a bit tight. This one, this platform here is a drop down. There's nothing dangerous below it, but just to let you know. And then we're into timings, and this one's more dangerous than the previous level, as now there will be fire pretty much all underneath us. Although if you do drop down, try to be at this point, as this is pretty much the only safe point to be, this little directly down here. So if you do end up falling, try to position yourself there, as it is the only place to be safe really. Of course, obviously the best plan is to not drop, but just in case. This one I really don't like the timing of that. Like that was a perfect spot to time, but yeah, with this one it might just take a little bit of patience to find a good rhythm to it. But again, it's Hitless run, it's not speed run. You don't need to rush it. Just wait until the right timing for yourself, and then jump across when it's safe. This one is absolutely do never jump onto number 4. This is the one that gives me nightmares and just spins around like anything if you jump on number 4 or number 2. Try it if you want when you're doing your runs, but just don't do it. Also, I could have jumped across then. If you like during your run, just continue past, just run across. It's completely safe to do that on that first run. You can jump on there, yeah. Although I'm not going to go there because I could have done, but I wasn't sure on the timing. But yeah, on your first run, when you're through here, it's completely safe to jump to the next one. If you look at my run, that will be linked in the description. You'll see that I jumped across straight away during the run. It's safe to do so. This one, jump again, back to some timing stuff. And also this one, I like waiting for a second run of bats. Again, just no safer. I think you can get the timing of it, just going straight away, but for just ease. I just wait for one more set of bats to go underneath. This one's actually not as bad as you think. Even if the fire's going on, as long as you get a good jump onto this platform, you're pretty safe. And even if the fire's on, it doesn't reach high enough above to get you as jumping onto that platform. This one, I'll just give a little sec. Again, a lot of this to do this level is about the fact of there's no rush to it. If you're not sure on a timing, then just give it a sec. You don't need to rush through it. Like for this one, I think this is a really bad timing. Although I could have gone actually. But there's no rush to it. Wasn't sure, so we'll just leave it a sec. Let another run of bats go, and then we'll jump across. With this one, actually, we do actually have time to go all the way to the end. The bats take ages to come through, but if you have an awkward timing, it takes a little while for the fire to get put out, then jump on that low platform down there, just wait for the run of bats, and then carry on as normal. This one, I like jumping on here, jumping on... What the heck just happened? Okay, so that was new. Oh, that's probably because I waited over there. Okay, this should be interesting then. Because I'm not actually sure of the time on this. So what I'll say is, this thing that normally happens when I'm not stopping and talking is you can jump on this box, and then you can land on the second one of this, and then jump across, and then run across. Now we're going to improvise a little bit. So that one goes in there, that one goes in there, that one drops down, that pushes you out. So that pushes you out, so that drops in there. So pushes you. Okay, we did that. So you can work out on the fly as well. But if you don't mess about like I was doing, you can jump on those boxes, jump on top of these, and you can jump across to safety. Or you can do a running commentary, mess up your timing, and have to work out the pattern yourself. But next. So this one, it gets these platforms move in once and then move out. As those move back, so we move across. So this moves out, moves in, and then it'll move out as it comes through. So timing again, and then we jump across here. And I personally like to jump in here. Be careful. This is another one where I use directional buttons. If you use the analog, I feel you can jump into this wall to the left and just drop down. So make sure you jump through that gap. And then we jump across here. I do like doing that as opposed to jumping between the platforms. It's just a little bit safer. And then we jump across and through we go. So this is probably one of the tricky parts. So we'll go through. Because basically any fall now is dangerous. Apart from when you do, ironically, in the exact same like column as the previous place I showed where you can drop. So easy. So yeah, this one is all about timings. We can get a good pattern where we can just jump across easily. So like this one's not too bad, I think. We can jump across. If we do get bad patterns, we can just wait. Or we can jump across between. So this one's a bad pattern. So I would jump across here, and that one's better. So that one's good. And then we're all through. So these platforms move a lot quicker. So there's not a jump on, wait a second, jump. It's just going to be jump, 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 jump. So jump, go, through, and gone. And that's pretty much that. It's going to take a little bit of time to get used to it. Sunset Vista, very long one. Very easy to try to rush it. But honestly, take your time. Don't feel the rush of it. And you can get pretty consistent at it. Koala Kong. Pretty simple. There can be some awkward timing with this, but only to delay the fight. You can have this fight. There's pretty much no risk being hit. All we do is stand on this right side. And as soon as this rock leaves his hands, we spin. So keep an eye on him. Once the rock goes above his head and leaves his hands, then we spin it. He's going to be throwing 3 rocks. And then we're going to wait for him to chuck this one, which is going to move out the way. And then we need to spin it when a carriage carrying some coal isn't in the way. Because then we spin, hit, and then we're done. And we pretty much repeat this by staying on this right side. Those TNT that drop from the ceiling, they will never come near us, even in the 3rd and 4th phase. But yeah. So even if we hit into one of the coal trucks, it just stops you from hitting him. It's not a big deal. It just extends the fight. It just makes it a bit longer. But there's no risk of getting hit in this fight as long as you have these timings down. With this one, third and fourth phase, a TNT drops right in the middle, which I like to stand right next to, because if he chucks the rock early, then it'll break the TNT box as well. But other than that, we just stay on the right side. TNT never drops near us on this side, and we just can deal with the rocks pretty simply like that. So I like standing next to the TNT, so when if he does that, he breaks the TNT, and we can do that. Simple. Like I say, the only delay would be if a carriage was in the way, so the rock would hit the carriage, but it's no issue, it just delays the fight by an extra phase. Heavy machinery. In we go. So now we go into another different set of level types. So this one is not too bad. This one is where I first really learnt of the issues of spinning and jumping. So if I span and jump like to try and get through these, I feel it affects the momentum of Crash going. So I would probably be short of this jump. So I much prefer to jump first and spin at the very end. Because that normally keeps the distance and you've got the spin protection at the end. If you spin and jump at the start, I feel it doesn't take you as far. So that's how I'd get through that bit. And then the next few parts is not too bad. We do come across some unkillable enemies, so these guys you can't spin, you can't jump on top of. The only way to kill them is if you have 3 Akawaka masks, which at this point we don't. We may do at a later level, but for this level we just are going to be avoiding them. We'll jump across. The blue pipes we can jump on top, the red ones we cannot. That was almost a bit short then. But yeah, we jump across. This spot we can rush through a little bit. Yeah, raise up, wait a sec, wait for it to go down, and we jump across. Again, spin, not at the very start, but afterwards. Get rid, and then jump across. Nothing to issue. You can just drop down straight here if you want, totally up to you, or you can drop down on that platform. Wait for a bit of timing, wait for them to go down. This one, not too bad, in fairness. We've got a harder version later on, but for this one, just wait until the unkillable ones are going down, going up, and we can just walk underneath. Get rid of you, you'll knock into him. Yeah, pretty simple this one. The vents, just timing, wait until they close up and go through. And all good there. Don't think, is there anything else with this level? I think it's not too bad, this one. But jump across, watch out, it's a moving platform, so if you need to take a little bit of time, you get bad timing on the steam, then just wait a sec. This normally goes into him, but he doesn't this time. Normally what happens then, if you hit the left side of that one, he knocks into this guy who was here, but didn't this time, because of course it doesn't happen when you're recording. Down we go. Akawaka mask up there. I never really get it. You can do if you want. In fairness, I only noticed it a short while ago. But yeah, this one, this level, pretty simple in fairness. One thing I would say here is don't hit that box too far to the right, because I feel beforehand, before I've like jumped up, hit it, and it's nudged me forward into this red pipe. So just make sure you're like in the center of those blue pipes before jumping up to get rid of that box. But yeah. Next through here, so this one, you get used to the timing of that, so that's when you're jumping over the red one, you're a bit more familiar with it. Then we jump on here, and then we jump on here. Down we go. And then we get rid of you, and then here we go left, right, and then just keep going up. That's the best order, because you can go left on that one, and then you go and get some lives that you don't need, so that's the quickest way up there. Cortex Power. So, quite like this level. A couple of tricky-ish jumps that is more so just being aware of. So going through normal stuff, spin the mobs. With the lightning going across, we jump immediately after they go between. One thing to be aware of here is with the spin, so sometimes I've just dropped here, spun, and this machine guy's just on the very edge, so the spin hasn't hit him, and then I have to spin him again, but there is a delay in the spin, so if I try to spin twice, there is a bit of a delay around here to do a second spin. So, just for that to be aware, because it can affect you in other levels. If you try to spin, you miss the mob, jump away, walk away, move away, as you'll probably walk into the mob and get killed. So, spin, if you don't kill him, move away, jump away, and then spin again. there is that just delay between the first and second spin, just to be aware of. Go right, jump across when he's on one side or the other. Do little hops here. Again, we're going to wait until that's fully away. Get rid of you. That one you can be a bit short on, so make sure you're doing a full jump there. A little bit of a hop, full jump here. And then, again, just no rush. Make sure we've got the timing right. This one, I wait until the one in front is over to the right, and this guy is going over to the left, going from left to right. This one, spin on landing, jump across. This one you can get poor timing. Again, this one I would just say be patient, wait until you've got a good chance to jump across, like that one. Jump across to the right, get rid of you. This one, when running through these, I always like to jump at the end just in case. So run across, then jump at the end just in case. Jump to the diagonal, and then spin. Not too bad, but just make sure all your jumps are right. This one, if you jump right at the edge, you can land on that and jump across. You don't have to worry about making the box appearing box that's somewhere else. We don't have to deal about that. Generator room. So with this one, main difficulty with this one is depth perception. So jump across these. These ones you can spin, but otherwise you can just get the timing on them and just jump across. Probably safer to wait on timing in order to avoid. But we're jumping across. No real issues. I mean, in fairness, I've done this quite a few times, so I'm probably have a better judge of the distancing, but with a few practice goes, you'll get the hang of it pretty quickly. This one, I wait on the time, but I also spin right at the end as well, just in case that last one just clips me at the end. So jump, full jump, spin at the very end. This guy goes over this platform, so make sure you spin in as you land as well. And jump across as these goes down. Now, with this one, depending on how your run's gone up to now, or I guess which Echo masks you've decided to break, you can have 3 Echo masks at this point, which is actually very handy for this next part, as you can just get through these guys. As I feel it's quite tricky to judge where these are just because of the camera. If you got 3 masks, it's very simple. You don't have to worry about it. You can just run through them. But if you don't at this point, like I do here, then you'll just have to judge the timing of it, either when they're the furthest away or when they're closest to the screen. But easy to deal with either way. But if you have an extra Aku mask, you just run through them. You kill them. Platforming, jump across. Again, I think I'm having a... It looks like quite easy jumping between these platforms, but that's just practice. I've done this quite a few times, so but it is something you just get used to. These ones, make sure you're doing full jumps up here. It's quite easy to slip off them at the edges. And this one, roll good. This one, just spin right at the end, just in case we're a bit short. Just because he can clip us right at the end. Then jump across, and then we're pretty much at the end here. But yeah, this one takes a little bit of practice, more so, and just getting used to the level and the camera, really, like depth perception. It can be tricky to get used to. And then we can just skip the right end, right here at the end. Toxic Waste, actually one of my favourite ones to have learned. Especially if it's your first time learning like a no-hit run, this is a really nice level to start to get used to, as it's really easy to get consistent at the start. Because at the start it's just jumping over these barrels, and it just goes the same way like every time once you learn the pattern of the run, of the level I should say. Because all these, it's just jumping over this one. We'll give it a little bit of a sec to get through, but once you've learnt the later couple of sections, this level happens the same way every time, so it's a really nice one to start out learning, like how to no-hit run games. Like, it's not like tricky, you have to be a lot more patient, a lot more reactive, like in Sunset Vista or some of the upcoming levels. This one's a lot more about just having a set position, set pattern to level. So this one, we're going to wait here, and then he throws 2 ones on the floor and then a jumping one. We're going to wait here for this one, and then jump over this one, and get rid of. The reason we do that is because I've had occasions before when I've tried going up here, and then the barrel's been here, and I've had to jump across, and I've landed in the goop here. So just super consistent, just wait here, wait for the jumping one to land here and bounce over us, jump over the barrel, and then jump over his second barrel. Happens the same way every time if you do that. But on we go, and then this way happens the exact same way as well. So we're going to jump here, position here, the barrel is going to avoid us. We're going to position to the left of this box, go up here, same position as earlier, so here, and then we're going to jump around this one. Probably could have gone there, but we're going to jump around this one and that. So that there's the last couple of sections. If you position in those places, that will happen the exact same way every time. Pinestripe. So this one, again, nothing tricky. The only real tricky ones or stuff to learn about mainly is the last couple of bosses. This one's completely fine, really. So what we're doing is we're just hiding behind the chair, wait for him to run out, spin, and then return to our chair. That's literally all we're going to be doing for each of these lives. Wait for him to run out, spin, go back under. Run out, spin, done. Now he will change it up a bit, so he'll attack, then jump on the table, then jump over to the left, and then have problems with his gun jamming. So we'll jump to the left, now we'll have issues, and we'll run out when he does. Spin, and now he'll do the exact same thing, but just jumping over to the right, and when his gun has issues on the right, that's when we'll run out, spin. And out we go. So spin, go up here, jumps to the top of the table, fires, problems, done, dusted. Simple every time. Just make sure you're on the left side of this chair. If you're on the right, you can stand up and get hit, so just make sure you're on the left. If you just make sure of that, you'll not get hit in that fight. The high road. Right, so this one took quite a few goes to get consistent at. So starting out, the first thing is, again, remember the ice, we're letting gravity do the work, and then jump across, then a little hop, and then jump across. Wait here for the pig. This is where you're safe. If you're just on that one in front, you're not safe. Also, don't try to spin them as, well, you'll get hit. Then we jump across, and then when you jump over them, that's when he stops, he sits down. So once you're past him, once you're over him, you don't have to think about him again. This one, you can do the same thing as I did before, like jump around, but I prefer just going through it so you can see where the turtle is. Or tortoise, I don't actually know which one he is. So jump on here. Now there's two things you can do really. You can do what I'm doing here, is jump away, and then do a running jump at him. We don't actually need to deal with this one. Or you can do, which I'll show in a sec, but first of all, with this one up here, I wait for him to walk away from us, or else you can be in an awkward timing with him. But now he's walked away, so I'll do that. So what I've done there, to explain, is I've jumped on him, but don't hold the jump button. If you hold the jump button as you land on him, you'll do a large jump. If you just jump on him and don't hold the jump button, you'll do a small jump. You'll land on him pretty much immediately and get sprung up. So jump on him without holding the jump button, and you'll immediately land on him and then do a jump. You'll know what I mean when you start doing it. It's hard to explain really, but basically jump on him, don't hold the jump button. Once you hit him, then hold the jump button, and it gives you a large spring off him. Now, ropes. You can, I believe it's easier on PC. I'm doing this on PS4, but I hate these next two sections in terms of doing it quotations legitimately through this, because I feel it's very awkward with the timings, with the areas you can land with the turtles. I much prefer doing it this way. So what I do is I go into this corner and then jump over here. The reason I go into this corner is I feel it's very inconsistent trying to get onto the ropes from here, but find it very consistent if I try jumping from this position. Once I'm on, I spin and see where my feet are on the position. If my feet are on top of the rope, then I'm pretty much safe. If they're to the left or the right of the rope, then I normally shift position. And then to go across here, I walk very slowly in order to drop on here, and then I'm a little bit to the right of the rope, and then we could jump across. So pretty simple. And then I do that one more time in this position, and that was a little bit dodgy because the turtles can still hit me. So I run right into this corner, and on we go. Now I'll just spin sim position. I'm a little bit right, and now I'm on top of the rope. Now we're pretty much okay in this, so we'll jump on here, And we'll jump on here, and I'll look a little bit right, so I'm going to walk a little bit, think, and where's my feet? So I'm a little bit left, I'm good there, and we're good. So yeah, those are the only two times that I would use that. You can, I guess, use it for this bit and just be on the ropes the whole time. I just find it consistent just doing it, those two bit, and I find it more consistent doing that than doing the actual section, I should say. But yeah, I always find walking off these blue dragons onto the next rope more consistent than doing the jump over. I feel if you jump over them onto the next bit of rope, then it's very easy to slip off to the right or left edge, which normally leads to death. So jump on top of these dragons as you're going across the rope, and then walk off them slowly, moving left to the right if you feel yourself sliding. After that, it's pretty much a simple finish, really. We go into these turtles, which pretty much, yeah, there's nothing real to worry about with the rest of this. I guess we could, and then, yeah, I don't really know what to say, really. The rest of it's pretty simple. All we're doing is jumping across these turtles, holding the jump button to make sure we're getting some extra distance. With the ice, keeping the same thing, letting gravity and then jumping at the end. But here we're doing small hops, then hold the jump button, doing larger jumps. And then we are at the end, let gravity do its work, jump, and then we run up to the top, and then we're done. So yeah, main thing to there is just to learn to be consistent with those two rope sections, and then the remaining areas are pretty alright, just as long as you've learned how to do the difference between the hopping and the full jumps from the road to nowhere from earlier. Slippery climb. Now, this is probably high road, when you're starting out, probably the high road slippery climb is probably going to be your hardest back-to-back levels to get right, especially this one. This one is a lot of patience, a bit like Sunset Vista, but just making sure your timing's right, making sure to only jump when it's coming towards you, not when it's moving away from you, and to do full jumps as you're doing it as well. And then if you're not sure on timing, don't need to rush it, so just wait until the right time to jump across. At this point in the level, you have a great chance of getting the run. The final few levels aren't nearly as bad as what's come before, so at this point, just take your time. This one, I like position myself just to the left of these squares in the wall. So here we'll come up, so here, in order to get a good timing on position with the platform. So position yourself just to the left of these squares in the wall, and you'll land on the platform. And then, again, I can't really give much advice just on other than just practice and get used to the timing. And with the birds, I should say, I'm always holding the jump button as I land on them to give myself extra height, just gives me more time and feel it's safer. Again, a little bit of timing with these stairs. You need to be quick with these as well, especially these next few ones. Just making sure you get into the end. Ooh, I don't know if this one's... Oh, yeah. Sometimes I've had bad timings with that. If you ever get bad ones, just jump off the bird and move over to the right, just so you can have another go at it. And then, need to rush this a little bit. Yep. And then this is quicker platforms, a bit like near the end of Sunset Vista. So just change your timings as obviously the platform changes. It's very hard to commentate and do this at the same time. But then we go through, again, this level is all about patience. Make sure not to rush, especially at this point. This one's a little bit of a tricky one. We want to jump like here. It's a very weird one. If you jump when you're at the top, you normally miss the platform. So you want to jump the middle point of that platform raising up. Then we jump up here, and now you want to jump like straight there. Yeah, this one takes a little bit of practice just to get used to. And we're good. This guy, he can only throw it in one place, so yeah, you don't have to worry about him. This one is a little tricky in fairness. Just don't rush that one. Just take your time with that. Wait until it has a full section, so when it's flattened out and then come out again, you don't need to rush that when the stairs appear. This one, nothing. There's no real wall marker. Just make sure you're positioned directly above the platforms, as sometimes you can save it in the sense of you can be directly above the first platform, but if if you've done it a little bit too late, you can still actually land on the platform below it. So, but that'll just take a couple of bits of a couple of runs to get used to. With these guys, when he freezes, so let's give him a sec. So now that's when he's going to attack. So when he does that freeze animation, that's when you know he's about to attack. So just don't jump or spin at him when he's in that animation. So when it drops below, we jump across. Again, these platforms don't rush. This one, I think it's like around the midpoint. Oh, I think I was a little bit far then. But yeah, you can get your own positionings off the wall on where the safe place to drop is. But yeah, again, these birds, we're holding jump on them to make sure we're getting the maximum height sprung off them. And then that slippery climb. This one will take a bit of practice, a bit of timing, and a little bit of patience. Lights out. So this one, you've just got to keep moving. Do not stop. It's going to be hard to commentate this one, but pretty much you don't want to stop with this level. Just keep running, even with the moving platforms that we're going to come across. We're going to be jumping and getting across with them. Every Aku Aku mask we reach, we're going to be hitting. But yeah, there's no need in this level to stop other than on the moving platforms. Each time we can just keep going. So this one, it comes towards us, but we can do a full jump to reach it. We don't have to wait and judge the distancing of it. We can pretty much just jump as we arrive. Again, always hit the Aku Aku masks or else we're going to lose the light. I think you can actually jump to the sides as well, but I've never actually incorporated that, or never needed to, I should say. With the rats that appear, you can spin them into each other, so that's never normally an issue. There is one that I'll come across in a sec that I'll mention that you have to be wary of though. But we'll get to that in a sec. But other than that, just keep running. I've never actually done that before, I've always spammed them, so that's different. So yeah, be careful of that then, be careful of landing on them, because that could happen. I've always just spun one into the other there. Wait there, I normally wait there for both of them to cross, and then run through to get this mask that's just out in the open. And then we just jump across, wait. So this is the one to be wary of. There'll be a third rat to appear, so just wait for him to appear before jumping across. So yeah, that's the only one to be aware of. The rest of the rats, you'll be able to spin into each other. It's just that last one where there'll be two rats that will be there when you arrive that you can spin into each other, and that third one that will appear at the end. So if you don't wait for that one, you just run in, he'll spawn, and then he'll hit you at the end. So just make sure to wait for that one at the end. Jaws of Darkness, I would say probably the last hard level. Again, it's more about timing, which if you practice this enough one, you'll be fine. Just making sure to be patient with it, which is my word of the day, it seems. Only jumping on platforms as they're lowering down across these platforms to do little hops between, and making sure that we're landing directly on these dropping platforms, and as you can slip off the edge pretty easily. Wait for these, and then, as I said before, with the last level, jumping off like the bowl lip of those basins. This one, we're just going to be running straight to the other end. We're not going to worry about the second roll of bats, as we don't have to wait, unlike the other level, where it was a drop-down platform. So just run straight across on your first opportunity with those blocks. This one, we're going to be running towards the screen, so you just need to be a bit careful, as it's very easy to just run straight across, because you can jump across here, then we jump across here. And it's very easy to just jump again, but remember there's going to be a fire thing here, fire pit, so just wait on that one. I've just had too many occasions where muscle memories just took over and I just jumped straight across and got burnt. So just remember there's a fire thing after that second archway of spears. This one, just hop across, don't hold jump, just sends you, it can make it funny and miss the platform, so just hop off that one instead of hold jump button. And then we jump across here. We're going to be doing a little bit of hopping. So we hop, hop, hop. I've actually made it a B of that, so that's not a good example. But yeah. Like hopping towards that, you can just go straight across on that one. I just showed a really bad example. But yeah, just take your time with that. Like holding jump button on that one, just for extra space. And then we're through. Again, watch out for bats. Don't try to spin them. Watch out here, I would say, because I like waiting here and then jumping across first. It's you've just got to make sure you're at the edge and you're not stopping too early here. You could, in fairness, just jump straight across to this one, but I find it's hard to... It can be hard to judge because the blocks will close behind you, and you won't be able to see where you jump in. So I like to wait at the end, just make sure you're at the end and you've not stopped early, or else you'll get crushed. So going through, we'll just wait for these spears to appear, jump through. There's a hole in the floor, so snake, get rid. And go through, we'll wait for the fire to go out. Jump off the edge of the basin. And then we're just doing 90-degree jumps, not doing any diagonal business, just keeps us consistent. Like I say, I predominantly use, if you're on PS4 or on console, to use the directional buttons. It's just a lot more consistent than the analog. Any chance that you get of doing, just analog is just I just find less consistent than the directional buttons in this game. For one thing, I don't think it was designed for it, so I just highly recommend using directional buttons during this run as opposed to analog. Castle machinery. So with this one, I quite like this level as well. Bit of a version of the other one that we had previously. I can't remember what the heavy machinery I think it might have been. But pretty similar. Not really too big of an issue. The last level that I just had, the Jaws of Darkness, was pretty much the hard, last difficult level. This one's more a bit of timing, but most of the machines we can just spin, so it's not too big of an issue. One thing to know for this level though, which is its gimmick, is raising up into pipes above, but for all cases we're just going to walk off. I wouldn't say to jump, I would just say just walk off in each case that we're going to deal with, where we have to avoid going to a raised platform. Also, we have a 3 mass here, so we can pretty much rush through this. Not that we need it to get rid of any major things. I guess we could use it to get rid of that, but not too big an issue. But with all this, we're just going to walk off onto the next platform. So jump across, and then this one we're just going to walk off. Don't jump, you don't need to, and it's just an added risk. And then we walk off, get access to that. Now, this is personal preference as well. You could, the steam won't hurt you whilst you've got the Ukuka. So again, it's just personal preference whether you want to run through it or to wait. So yeah, personal preference, just your own Hitless rules there. Also, if you still have your invulnerability here, I would recommend waiting, because this is a round where it's going to run out, and if you jump into this guy, it's going to automatically kill him. But if your Aku Aku runs out whilst you're on top of these pipes, that's still going to damage you after your things run out. So I would recommend waiting here, wait for your 3 mass to run out, and then jump on top of this guy. Don't need to jump on top of that, I think it's just boxes, but I can't remember, it's been so long. Spring there, that goes right into pipe, so make sure to avoid that. I'll leave that in. Yeah, I'll leave one in. We'll go through, drop down, watch out for that pipe, and watch out for that treacherously slippy edge there. Go through here, get rid of him, drop down. I think there's another tricky one somewhere that needs to come across, but we'll see that in a sec. But yeah, this is all just simple jumps. Wait for this guy. If he's dropping down, just wait until he's rising up. This one, I don't know why it happens, but I would recommend walking towards the screen a bit. Only because I've had cases where, for some reason, I've landed on the outside, like towards that wall of these boxes, and just dropped through. Even just holding right, just jumping across these boxes, I've somehow fallen to the side and just dropped. So I'd recommend when you drop down to the very bottom there, move a little bit towards the screen and then jump across the boxes. Don't know why it happens, it just happens, so that's what I'd recommend. And then we jump across here. Then pretty much it's the same thing as earlier, except instead of pipes, we've just got mobs flying above us. So even less dangerous, because all these we can just spin. Then we jump across, and then we have a little bit of some speedy moving so we don't get steamed. Then a little bit of platforming. Like I say, not too tricky one. All you have to do pretty much for this one is just remember to walk over those platforms that are rising up instead of jumping. So Dr. Brio, this one, so 2 phases, so a couple of things to note, but we can pretty much make this the exact same way each time. So what we're going to do is stand on this crack and then jump over to the left. That lands on that, and then he'll start spawning more of the green blobs and throw more of these purple potions. Stand out, he just throws one, so we go back to the crack, and now he'll spawn 2 of these blobs. First one, and then we move slightly towards him. That second blob spawns slightly closer to him, so you need to just move slightly towards him on that. But make sure you're not too close to him, as he just can do like a self AoE. So just make sure to avoid that. If we time this right, then we'll land on that. We'll land on that before he throws the third one. It'll disturb him, so we can fire those 2 off to him before he throws his third one, and then we've got the time to jump on that third one. And then just follow that little pattern round. Wait until he has thrown the first one to start running around the perimeter, or else you can get stuck in that corner. And then pretty much jump on his head for this first one. And then for this second one, wait until he's about midpoint on the floor. So look at the skull. Once he's about halfway in the skull, then jump on his head. If you jump too early, when he's like near the top of the floor, you'll get hit. So keep an eye on the skull on the floor. Once he's about halfway, boom, easy. So yeah, that first phase is the trickier one. So stay on that right, the crack in the floor on the right hand side. Jump on the blob as it spawns. His second blob will be slightly closer to him, so jump towards that to crush the second one. And then the third one, you got to do it quick enough in order to break his concentration on the third one. But if you do that, it'll make him delay his throwing his third one, so you can take your time with it. The lab, the final platforming level. This one's not too bad at all. Just patience is the word of the day. But go through, can jump on these side platforms, so you're never really in danger of the dropping platforms. But this one, we've got to wait until they're going fired to get through, because that one opens up the floor. Green blobs are back, so we're going to jump over to the side and around. This one, we're going to wait until the electric's firing. There is that block in there. Do not do the same in that, because there is an explosive. So don't do that. We go through, and then this one, just as long as you're not rushing, you've got plenty of time. This guy, you can run into, hit back, and then jump around. Personally, I find I like just to jump straight around. You can hit him. I don't want to mess around with him. You can do it. I choose not to. I just jump around him straight away. Green blobs, again, I just jump around, don't deal with. Electric, once it starts firing, I go across. Purple guy, again, jump around. I don't know, just mobs you don't want to deal with this level, just jump around them. This one, we're going to be utilizing the side bits. Don't have to deal with this. And then through we go. Then we're going to wait for the electric to start firing, go through, jump around. Can be a little tight, but you'll get the timing of it pretty quickly. Watch out for that guy, he can get you, so just be careful when you're jumping around him. So I like jumping over here. It's much more safer than trying to judge the timing on the closing floor. And then I go in here. You could actually make that, I guess. Got the timing on that, but that's just completely safe doing it like that. And then we give it a sec. I don't like rushing on that, so the TNT crates there, jump onto them, and then wait until you've landed on them and you're stationary, then run forward and jump over. If you try to bounce off the TNT over to the other side, it's very easy to not have enough jump, not enough spring to get to the other platform, so just jump on them, wait a sec, wait until you've landed and you're stationary on the boxes, and then just walk over, jump over, and you finish the level. There's no rush, you've got 3 seconds, so jump onto it, wait, and then walk over, jump, finish level, and you're on to Cortex. Cortex. So, super consistent. If you do this every time, you will beat him every time. But probably is the most interesting boss of the game, the rest of them. Although they're all scripted to some extent, this one is, I guess, the most interesting example of a scripted boss. But the first one, we just avoid 2, and then fire back the last one. This one, he fires a purple, then a blue across the floor, then another blue. Here, we're going to jump across this here, and then hit, and then hit. So yeah, on that second one, positioning here, jumping over that early. Moving out the way of that. Jumping over here. Now we'll fire a green. He's going to fire a purple. Just, I can't really say too much, just follow this exact route and you'll have the exact same experience each time. The only difference is here, where you might be able to hit that green one. You might be able to hit that first green one. If you do, then it just speeds up this phase. Otherwise, he just repeats this exact same way. And it just takes an extra couple of seconds. But if you do that the exact same way, you'll just get the same result. This one's probably the trickiest phase, so he does fire quick fire. And I just had to concentrate just a little bit there. But yeah, with that quick fire, it's moving over to the left, running around, jumping over and back to the left. You got to do it, yeah, sorry, I'm just avoiding him because this is pretty much over. So yeah, but that second to last phase, over here, jump over and back. So 1, 2, 3, jump over like his third one, then 4, 5, and then you're at the left side. But yeah, that second to last one's probably the trickiest one. And then that one. That last green bullet is slightly delayed compared to his other ones, so don't be tricked in spinning too early like his other ones. Just wait for it to arrive, spin, and then you've completed Crash Bandicoot No Hit. So, if there's any questions, anything clarify, I know I can't show my controller inputs, so any questions, queries, any levels, anything you want more information on, and if you want examples of all of them completed in a row, then my no-hit run of this game will be linked in the description. But anything at all, put in the comments below. Thanks for watching, hope this has been helpful, and we'll catch you in the next video.